apologized for the last 2 days na nagkaroon po ng rotating brownouts. Dahil po yun, dahil sa sabay-sabay po na nagkaroon po ng breakdown ng apat na plantang malalaki po, na ang capacity po is 2017 megawatts. Malaki po ang nawalang supply sa sistema, 2017 supply, kaya megawatts po, kaya ganun po nagkaroon po tayo ng kakulangan, at sa init din po ng panahon, tumaas po ang demand natin to more than 11,000 kilowatt.
That was Energy Secretary Alfonso Cusi apologizing for the rotational brownouts in Luzon over the past 3 days. Supply, at least for today, has normalized with no foreseeable outages.
But that may not be for long. The National Grid Corporation projects another supply shortage in the next few months. Good evening, I'm Gretchen Hall.
I'm Robbie Alampa. You're watching The Big Story. Let's start with power supply. The Luzon grid already normalizing, but another round of brownouts is being projected as early as next month.
The Energy Department is already considering filing charges against power plant operators for possible collusion. Camille Samonte has the big story.
After 3 straight days of being placed under red and yellow alerts, the Luzon power grid has normalized, at least today. Barring any sudden increase in demand, the Energy Department said that no outages are expected to happen within the day. According to the National Grid Corporation of the Philippines, total projected available capacity is at 11,601 megawatts, higher than the peak demand of 10,331 megawatts. Energy Secretary Alfonso Cusi apologized for the successive brownouts, assuring that the supply is now back to normal.
Dahil po yun, dahil sa sabay-sabay po na nagkaroon po ng breakdown ng apat na plantang malalaki po, na ang capacity po is 2017 megawatts. Malaki po ang nawalang supply sa sistema, 2017 supply, kaya megawatts po, kaya ganun po nagkaroon po tayo ng kakulangan, at sa init din po ng panahon.
Cusi wants a probe into possible collision among power plants that could have brought down the supply. He also blamed private companies that failed to comply with government regulations. The DOE is exploring filing charges for economic sabotage.
Itong power, itong electricity po are all in the hands of the private sectors. We just lay down the policy, make sure that everything is addressed.
But more power outages may be in the offing. The NGCP warned of another round of rotational brownouts in July and August, as supply may not be enough based on projected demand and expected supply. Spokesperson Cynthia Alabanza said, however, that it may still be dependent on supply.
These projections will change as we draw to the time nearer to the time that we're talking about. So we will have to revise and readjust the projections as we approach these dates.
Alabanza wants to look ahead, saying an energy roadmap for the next 5 to 10 years should be laid out.
Power plants, as you may know, have a gestation period of 3 to 5 years. So it will take around that time to build the power plant. So your planning must be around at least 5 years ahead, so that demand never catches up with supply, as is happening now.
For News 5, Camille Samonte, we are One News.
The Energy Regulatory Commission has directed generation companies to explain the power outages that reach the maximum allowed unplanned outage per year. To give us more details, we have with us ERC Chairperson Agnes De Vanadera. Ma'am, welcome po to The Big Story.
Thank you very much for having me here. And let's talk about the hot issue of the day and your big story.
Yes, ma'am. Mawagin nga po yung tanong namin. Collusion is a pretty strong word. Apart from, nabanggit nga po ni Secretary Cusi, nagkasabay-sabay. Apart from the timing and the fact na sabay-sabay nag-out, what else are you keen to look into?
I don't have your audio.
Okay, can you hear me now, ma'am? Ma'am, can you hear me?
Only now.
Ulitin po natin because collusion is a very serious word. Nabanggit po ni Secretary Cusi, sabay-sabay, 4 na planta nagsara. Apart from yung timing nung 4 na yon, what else are you looking into?
I just want to make a correction. Hindi ito 4 na planta. 35 ito. 35 plants with 17, actually 35 itong pinadala ng sulat ng ERC. Actually, ERC sent notices to explain because 35 plants were on outage. And we're seeing it's a really because of the different events, no? It's like we have an increase of demand due to the summer season, and that has been a constant problem during summer season. And there is a decrease in the available supply due to the maintenance, planned, unplanned, that's how we call it, and the derating of power plants. So, as Secretary Cusi said, more than 2,000 megawatts really went offline. So this is the problem.
Okay.
This is the problem. There
Apo.
were 35 who went on outage.
Okay, anyway, we will continue to monitor po yung probe that has been now directed. In the meantime, NGCP is saying we could still anticipate some rotational brownouts in the future. How much of that are we expecting, and how much of it is under our control to mitigate or to prevent?
Well, the planned outage, that's how we call it, is actually something that has been scheduled before the start of the year. And this schedule of outages are being approved by both the NGCP and, of course, submitted to the Department of Energy. And what we are now investigating are those who exceeded what has been approved by the DOE. And that's, as the regulator, we can look and investigate. But until such time that we have gathered all the evidences, we cannot just say as of now that this is that they can be charged for economic sabotage. Right now, all the responses that we have received, about 50% of the 35 plants, said that the causes are, number one, the technical people who are supposed to come over to the Philippines have been prevented by the pandemic. Second, the spare parts that they import for the maintenance have not arrived, or some were delayed in arriving. So that's the situation now.
Okay, maraming salamat po, Dato' ERC spokesperson Agnes de Venadera. Higher heat index is weighing heavily on power demand, hence the rotational brownout days ago. That's according to the Energy Department. Tonight's big number is 100 megawatts per 1 degree Celsius. The DOE says for every increase of 1 degree Celsius in the heat index, as much as 100 megawatts is added to power demand. Adding to that burden, said the DOE, is the breakdown of power plants with a total capacity of more than 2,000 megawatts.
These are the other big stories tonight. Tired of wearing face shields? You might have to endure it some more. Health authorities still stand by for additional protection. After an ally divulged that the presidential daughter is bent on running for president next year, the palace names President Duterte as possible bets for the presidency. And Jollibee temporarily shuts down a branch in Bonifacio Global City after a customer's chicken meal turned out to be a fried towel. These big stories after the break.
Good evening, I'm Robbie Alampay. You're still watching The Big Story. Are you itching to ditch that face shield? You're not the only one. Manila Mayor Isko Moreno himself wants to get rid of it, but that will not be happening anytime soon. Mobile journalist Jacob Lazo gives us a front seat to this story.
They aren't the most comfortable thing to wear, but face shields have been required by the IATF since December last year. However, just this week, Manila Mayor Isko Moreno says he can't wait to drop the requirement. Moreno says that as soon as enough people are vaccinated, he would even ban face shields in his city.
Magastos lang yan. Pero for the meantime, continue using that because we have not reached our goal.
Moreno says he had raised this already with the Metro Manila Council. The Manila mayor was quoted in earlier reports as pushing for an immediate lifting of the face shield requirement, but Malacanang immediately shot down that idea.
So sa akin po, sa siyensya, may basahan po yan. Halos lahat naman po meron ng face shield. So wala na pong extra gastos po yan.
Hindi pa po siguro panahon para tanggalin ang face shield dahil hindi pa po tayo nakakalabas dito sa pandemya. Pangalawa, wala pa po tayo sa level na tinatawag nating herd protection.
A February survey by Octa Research showed that only 6 out of 10 Filipinos wear face shields, even though violators may be arrested and fined. Many complain that the shields distort their vision and breathing, but the health department says a combination of a face mask, social distancing, and a face shield provides 90% protection against COVID-19. Professor Guido David of Octa Research admits that like many Filipinos, even he does not always wear face shields outdoors.
The risk of transmission outdoors, if you're spaced out, if you're far from other people, is probably minimal.
However, David acknowledges that the DOH is correct that every bit of advantage counts in preventing COVID transmission.
If it adds even just a little bit of protection, like if it adds 1% protection, why not?
David says we might want to consider doing away with face shields once at least half the population is vaccinated. Thing is, only 5% have been vaccinated so far, and at the rate we have been going, that is going to take a bit of time.
We're targeting about 30 to 50% of the population. So if we have that in NCR, we could probably have, lessened use of face masks, especially face shields.
I'm Jacob Lazaro, and we are One News.
Tropical storm Dante slowed down after making landfall 8 times since Tuesday. As of 5 p.m., Dante is moving north-northwest at 25 kilometers per hour. It's expected to track north in the next 12 hours. It will hopefully exit the Philippine area of responsibility either tonight or tomorrow early morning. But it could still re-enter the Philippine area of responsibility by Friday afternoon and then weaken into a low-pressure area by the next day. All wind signals have been lifted in the meantime. The death toll due to Dante has climbed to 4, while 7 are still missing. That's according to the NDRRMC. Initial damage to agriculture is estimated at 14 million pesos. At least 3,000 families have been evacuated. 3,000 others were stranded in various ports.
Time for an express look at some of the day's big stories. Criminal and administrative charges have been filed against Police Master Sergeant Hensi Zinampan after killing a 52-year-old woman in Quezon City. He has 15 days to submit his own statement. The PNP targets to finish summary dismissal proceedings against Zinampan in 30 days or less. Jollibee Foods Corporation has temporarily closed down a branch in Bonifacio Global City in the wake of a now viral towel incident. On Wednesday, a customer complained that her fried chicken meal turned out to be a fried towel instead. Jollibee will conduct a thorough probe. It will also retrain its personnel to ensure that a similar incident will not happen again. And it's final. The House Justice Panel junked the impeachment complaint against Supreme Court Associate Justice Marvic Leonen. A total of 21 lawmakers voted to approve the committee report and resolution. Last week, the panel dismissed the impeachment complaint filed by Edwin Cordevilla due to insufficiency in form. I'm Gretchen Ho, your Woman in Action. June 3 is World Bicycle Day, and no better way to celebrate it than giving to those in need of another source of income through this two-wheeled wonder. A look at riders and our big boss in action in my report. Public transportation took a hit when the pandemic began, forcing people, especially those in the metro, to go active, either through walking or cycling. But are NCR streets friendly enough for biking? Only 12% of Manila households own cars, yet they occupy 80% of the road space. But the Transportation Department hopes to change that. Through a 1.1 billion peso budget under Bayanihan 2, the agency wants to double the bike lanes in the country, and some LGUs already have a head start, like Pasig.
We'll go around the different streets here in Pasig, right, Miss Karen? Tapos, i-experience natin yung totoong buhay nila dito as a rider.
From Capitol Commons, we visited the bike lanes in Julia Vargas, Emerald Avenue, Amang Rodriguez, C. Raimundo, and Market Avenue. We also saw the new bike racks and bike parking installed in the city.
Dream natin dito sa Pasig, buong city mo, maski saan ka pumunta sa Pasig, meron kang parking para sa bike mo.
Bicycles are good, not just in providing transportation, but also creating livelihood opportunities like messenger work, delivery work, and even for our frontliners. And on World Bicycle Day, together with the MVP Group, we'll be putting 500 new riders on the road. Team Woman in Action partnered with Chairman Manny V. Pangilinan and the MVP Group Foundations for the Bike for Livelihood project.
If you could provide them with the means of making themselves a livelihood, whether delivering food or medicine or whatever, I think that's something we should support.
Maynilad will install drinking fountains in some destination cities, while Smart Communications also provided bike beneficiaries 100 smartphone retailer kits and 100 smart pocket Wi-Fis.
I think this is a great initiative where you've given them the means for them to go to work instead of walking for hours, right?
Pasig City is the initiative's first pit stop, with 70 bikes for the city's 4-piece recipients and bike lane enforcers. The Interior Department's contact tracers also received 50 units.
Napakalaking tulong po talaga sa amin to kasi hindi na ako maglalakad para ihatid yung mga order.
Makatulong po siya sa mga pinapa-deliver po ng mama ko, like ulam or ano pong dinideliver ko.
Habang gumagawa kami ng mga bike lanes, bike parking, nakakatuwa na may mga nagdo-donate ng bisikleta katulad nito.
Bike for Livelihood also intends to reach Manila, Quezon City, Malabon, Caloocan, and Batangas. Apart from the donations, the MVP Group has pledged to support bike-friendly initiatives, while Signal TV has committed to creating content around biking culture. Happy World Bicycle Day! Gretchen Hall, we are One News. Time for another quick break. When we return, former presidential candidate Gibo Chodoro's visit to Davao City sparks talks of a likely tandem with Mayor Sara Duterte in 2022. And will the Phenom take flight in Japan? While Kiefer Ravena thanked NLEX and the PBA, his club team says Kiefer's contract still stands. The details after the break.
Good evening. You're still watching The Big Story. I'm Robbie Alampay. New political tandems are being speculated upon following claims of Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte's supposed presidential candidacy for the 2022 polls. Another presidential bid from 2010 is supposedly also making a potential comeback. Meandros Baños gives us the names.
While PDP Laban tries to fix supposed internal problems within the party, potential names for the 2022 national elections have emerged. First off, presidential daughter and Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte. Albay Congressman Joey Salceda made the revelation on 1PH's Sa Totoo Lang. He even shared to News 5 a screenshot of their conversation.
Maraming pa akong exchange of text with her and I can tell you that she's really running. At least 5.
At least 5. Not across the country, no? Across the country yan.
Some are very national.
Political analyst Dindo Manhit is not surprised.
Palang pagkalat ng mga streamers na run, Sara run, ay ito'y nagpapahiwatig na mukhang may plano sa pagtakbo. Of course, people will say we are not sure until they file their candidacy.
But who could be her running mate? Is a father-daughter tandem likely, especially after PDP Laban's push for the president to run for VP?
Magandang tingnan yan. Baka it could be the last choice kung nangangailangan ng puwersa ng isang Pangulo.
How about former Senator Bongbong Marcos who lost the VP race in 2016? Sara admitted to talking politics with Bongbong one weekend.
Geographically, it's a good strategy for them. No? So the rest, hindi ko na kinoconsider seryoso yun kasi pampasikip lang yung kay Mayor Sara Duterte. But right now, as they consolidate their forces in the south of the Philippines, a strong showing in the northern part.
Other options include acting PDP Chairman Senator Manny Pacquiao and Senator Bongo, who already pledged for the Dutertes no matter their decision. But a post of former Congressman Rolando Andaya Jr. fueled talks of another contender. In a photo showing former Defense Secretary Gibo Chodoro, Andaya wrote, "On my way with my vice president to meet my president." Chodoro lost his presidential bid in 2010. Gibo apparently got his vaccine shot in Davao and even has a photo with the city mayor. Andaya says both Chodoro and Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte may announce their election plans next month. But if it were up to the president, he wouldn't let Sara run, at least according to Malacanang.
Ang rekomendasyon nga po daw niya ay huwag siyang tumakbo. So that's the latest I heard from the president's own mouth.
But the palace still identified Duterte together with Marcos, Pacquiao, Go, and Manila City Mayor Isko Moreno as the president's possible picks for the presidency. Reporting for News 5, Mean Los Baños, we are One News.
In world news, what are you willing to risk to save your pets' lives? This teenager in California put her life on the line as she pushed a bear atop a fence to save her dogs. The viral video shows the family's dogs barking at a protective mama bear who herself entered the property with her own cubs. 17-year-old Haley Morinico swung into action when the bear started swatting and grabbing at one of her dogs. After shoving the bear, Haley grabbed one of her furry pals and ran off to safety.
Now for the big story in sports. Despite contract issues, Kiefer Ravena thanked the PBA for apparently supporting his decision to join Japan B-League team Shiga Lake Stars. Ravena also expressed his gratitude to the NLEX Road Warriors. NLEX, however, acknowledged that his Japan engagement needs to conform to the terms of the uniform player's contract. The PBA maintained that Ravena is not allowed to join the Japanese league due to his UPC.
Exchange of vows during the sacrament of matrimony is a crucial moment, but what about that much-awaited call from your rider? Just as crucial, couple Buglas Bayani Tagud and Mildred Ortohan just tied the knot in Siargao last May 27. They were headed to the reception area when a delivery rider approached Mrs. Tagud for her online order. Hindi pwede yung itigil ang kasalan sa ganyan. So the rider just patiently waited outside the church until the wedding was done.
Regalo ba yun?
No, syempre priorities,
Grabe.
di ba?
Oo.
Priorities.
Hindi, kasi sinasabi ng mga tao, lagi na lang late yung mga rider. Kaya gusto ko yung commitment niya, di ba? Talagang pumunta.
At pasalamat tayo sa mga tumutulong sa mga rider. It's a happy World Bicycle
Happy
Day.
World Bicycle Day. Maraming salamat, Chairman MVP, tsaka yung mga foundations natin.
And sa iyo rin, Gretch. This is your initiative. Maraming salamat. Marami ka natutulungan dito.
Sana, push pa. Pero, alam mo na yan. That wraps up today's big story. Catch us again tomorrow at 8 p.m. on Signal Channels 8 and 250.
Please like our Facebook page, One News. For more in-depth analysis, visit our webpage, onenews.ph. Mask on.
Wash hands.
And stay safe, Philippines. I'm Robbie Alampay.
And I'm Gretchen Hall. We are One News. Have a good evening.